Endeavour, here we go for extract number 2 for today, Thursday the 30th of April. And our extract is called Abacaxi. Now remember in my last extract, the group have just found some gorgeous pineapples. Let's see what happens next. The next morning, Fred startled awake with a handful of grass and moss in each hand. The nightmares were getting worse. He blinked, looking round. He wasn't in the den, but lying in the clearing near the pool. He had dreamt he'd heard his father weeping, which was ridiculous, because his father had never cried in his whole life. He had dreamt he was running home. Deep asleep, he must have heaved his body across the clearing. There were patches of torn-out grass around him. He brushed the mud from his face and crawled over to the den. Lila and Con lay asleep, their hair tangled. But the pineapple wasn't there, and nor was Max. It took a moment for Fred to be sure he wasn't still asleep. Then he jumped to his feet, whispering, "Please no, no, please no." But there were no bones, no blood. Surely a jaguar had left bones. Fred shook Lila awake. "Max is missing. What, she muttered, and then she tucked her knees up to her chin and batted him away. "I'm sleeping." "Max isn't here." "What?" Lila sat bolt upright, and her eyes still had sleep in the corners. They were wild. "Max!" she called. She jumped to her feet, scrambling out of the den, tearing her skin on the thorns. "Max!" She stared around the clearing, her voice rose to a roar. "Maxie, where are you?" Con came barreling out of the den. "What's happening? Are you all right?" And she took one look at Lila's stricken face. "Max!" she called. "You stupid idiot boy! What if something's eaten—" "Don't," said Lila, rounding on her. "Don't you dare!" And then louder, her voice scraping the air. "Max! Max!" "He might be up by the river," said Fred. "We'll split up," said Lila. "If I go down to the river, will you go back towards the plain?" She stumbled around, dizzy with panic. "Max!" One of the trees giggled. Max stepped out from behind a cedar at the edge of the clearing. "Boo!" he said, waggling his arms and his legs and his tongue at them. "I've been awake for hours. I'm bored." "Max!" Lila's eyes were brick-hard and ferocious. "You vile brat. If you ever do that again, I'll tell Papa when we get home and he'll beat you with his shoe." Max's face fell. "He wouldn't. He never hits me." "He would if I told him what you did." She looked at him closer. "Where did you go?" "Secret." "Did you eat the pineapple?" "Secret," said Max, guiltily, wiping the juice from his face. "Max!" Lila balled her fist. "If you ate our food, I don't care what Mama would say. I'll smack you so hard." Max pressed his lips together and shook his head. "Pick me up, Lila," he said. "Tell us, Max, where did you go?" "Up." His eyes filled with tears. "I'll tell you if you pick me up." His body began to shudder with shaking sobs. Lila gave a hiss of fury and picked him up, and his sobs ceased immediately. "You can't get your own way by crying," said Con, her face tight. He smiled up at her. His face was clear of tears. "Yes, I can," he said. "Now tell me." Lila took hold of Max's chin. "Where did you go? Where's the pineapple? Did you steal it? Did you eat it all?" "No, I wanted to share some with Animal." "Which animal?" "The monkey thing." "Where?" "By the lavatories," said Max. He was pouting. "I didn't do anything wrong. He was hungry. I was being kind." Lila dropped Max to the ground, and he gave a wail and saw her face and stopped. "Show me," said Lila, "or I won't believe you." An unexpected excitement gripped Fred. Lila began to run, and the other three followed down the path they had hacked towards the cluster of trees surrounding the trunk of the boy's lavatory. Max was tugged along by the hand, his legs pounding double time to keep up. "Slow down," he wailed. They passed the lavatory and moved out of the sunlight into the thick growing trees. Suddenly Max stopped. "It's there," pointing up at a low-hanging branch. "See, I wasn't lying." Above their heads rose a great white flowering tree. From one of the branches hung a small animal, unlike anything Fred had ever seen before. It was looking up with huge eyes at a vulture in the branches above its head. On the ground below there were chunks of pineapple, untouched, and some distance away were two more vultures crouched over a corpse of a larger version of the same animal. "Get away!" yelled Lila. She ran, running, kicking the birds. "Get away!" The two vultures on the ground took off. Startled, but the vulture in the tree only ruffled its feathers. It was enormous, as broad as a Labrador around the middle, and its eyes watched the tiny animal hungrily. The animal on the branch let out a mew like a cat. It was grey-brown with a cream face, a dog-like snout and immense black eyes. Its arms were long and chicken-bone thin, ending in curved claws. It was small enough to cup in your hand. Lila ran to the base of the tree and gripped the lowest branch and scrambled with her feet against the trunk. The vulture, feeling the tree shake, flapped its wings and cawed and disappeared. Lila hauled herself into the branches, her knees shaking, her breath loud. She sat on the branch where the animal was perched and began to scoot forward, both hands gripping tight. And with quivering fingers she unwound its legs from the branch and rewound them around her arm, and the creature let out a mewling sound. Lila began to edge backwards along the branch. Fred could hear her whispering prayers under her breath. She stumbled as she landed on the ground, half fell, but made sure to keep her arm with the animal high above her head. Max ran to her. "What is it? Let me see." "It's a sloth," said Lila. Her voice was hushed with awe. "A baby sloth." Fred stepped closer. It was one of the most extraordinary things he'd ever seen. It was very ugly and very beautiful, both all at once. Its fur still had a fluffiness of babyhood. "Let's make it play," said Max, and he grabbed at Lila's arm. "No." Lila seized his wrist, cradling the sloth. "Don't, you'll hurt it." The brother and sister glared at each other. "No, I won't. I'll be soft." "Maxie, you mustn't. It's terrified. It doesn't have a mother to protect it. See, it's shaking." "But I love it." Max looked dangerously close to tears. "But it doesn't need you to love it to death. It needs us to be slow," whispered Lila. "Come on, Maxie, let's bring it back to camp. You can bring the pineapple." Back in the clearing, Lila made a soft bed of grass for the sloth. She set it down on its stomach where it lay quivering, and held the pineapple to it. "I want to touch it," said Max. "No," said Lila, and she sat it down. "Let him catch his breath." The sloth shook. Lila shook. Every part of her radiated longing. It was probably best, Fred imagined, to leave people alone at such moments. People suddenly bludgeoned by passions were unpredictable. They might bite or cry. He stepped backwards, giving her room. The sloth moved, very slowly out of its bed and towards Lila. It reached her shoe and crawled, so slowly that Fred was sure he could hear its muscles stretching and retracting under its fur. Into Lila's lap. With a peculiar jerky grace, the sloth reached out and grasped the pineapple in its front claws. Lila didn't seem to be breathing, but it was as if the light came out of her. She glowed out into the forest. The sloth struggled to arrange the fruit so it could bite in, but Lila didn't move. She sat, stock still, watching as it sprawled itself more comfortably across her lap. It moved like an uncoiled rocking horse, Fred thought. Lila looked up and saw them. "I've never seen one in real life," she whispered. "People always told me sloths were slow and stupid, but I think they're only slow the way ballet is slow." Very, very softly she laid a finger on the sloth's chest. "Feel its heart, it's fast, a different rhythm." The sloth finished chewing the pineapple. It crawled up Lila's arm and clung to her, up near her shoulder, resting its head below her right ear. It made a little snorting noise and Lila's hair ruffled. "He needs a name," said Con. "I've never named anything," said Lila, her neck twisting to look at the sloth. He was trying very slowly to eat her ear. "You don't have pets?" asked Fred. It seemed strange for a person who was so clearly designed to live among animals not having one. "I was never allowed one. I begged and begged, but Mama and Papa moved a lot for work. They said it wouldn't be fair." Lila looked hard at the sloth and she narrowed her eyes. Her lips formed a word. "What's his name?" asked Max. "You have to tell us. It can't be secret." "Abacaxi," she said. "Yes," said Max authoritatively. "That's good." "Say it again," said Con. "Abacaxi. It's Portuguese for pineapple," said Lila. "Baca, for short." Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. What a lovely end to that chapter. The next chapter, which I'll read you for tomorrow, is called The Monkeys and the Bees. Bye, Endeavour. See you soon.